Ê, xíu thôi.
Dạ rồi. Mình có thấy phần màn hình được share không ạ?
Dạ, thấy màn hình cô. Chờ mày xíu.
Dạ rồi. À, dạ rồi, đầu tiên mình đọc phần đoạn văn, mình đọc phần bài thơ ở đây là The Tiger ba đoạn đầu ạ.
Ờ, ờ, cô ơi, cho em mở cái test ở trên máy tính trên này xíu nha, tại nó nhỏ quá, em đang làm bằng điện thoại em không thấy cô.
Dạ rồi.
Dạ. Dạ rồi cô. The Tiger by William Black. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eyes could primitive, fearful, symmetrize? In what distant deep or skies burn the fires of thin eyes? On what swing dare he upright?
Okay, good
What the
evening,
deep
everyone.
dare seize
My name is
the
Ngọc and I will be in
fire?
charge of this class.
Fire.
Can you
And
hear me
what
well?
shoulder and what as whose which
Oh, it may
Yes,
take some...
teacher.
sinews of
Hi. Oh,
thy
it may take some time
hurts,
for everyone
and
to join the
when
class. But
thy heart began to beat,
so
the red
I will try
hand
to talk in English
and what
for
red
most of the time. If
teeth.
there's anything that you need more explanation or something that you don't really understand, please ask me to confirm. Is that okay?
The benefits of reading.
Oh, and I encourage everyone to turn on the camera as well, so that we can interact better and and I don't feel so lonely being here looking at myself alone. So if it's convenient for you, please turn on the camera. All right, so I'm going to share the slide. So wait a second.
Đoạn văn thứ ba.
Dạ cô. Dạ cô. The benefits of reading or enjoyment of wood has been regarded among the charm of a future life. This is easy to understand when we compare the difference between the lives of a man who does not read and that of a
Right,
man
so
who does.
you have had
The man who
the book,
does
the course book
not
for
read
this course,
is
right? And
imprisoned
there are some things
his
that are not available in the book, so you can
to
print
time
screen,
and
or
space.
you can
This
ask me
slide
to
fall
share
into
some
a set
slides or some info that you need
routine
to.
he is
If there's
lying
something that I
it
can share,
to
and I
contest
will
and
also share you
conversation with a
in the
few
classroom.
friends, and he see only what happened
Right, ready?
in many neighborhoods.
Can we begin the class now? Is there any problem? If you have any problem, you can ask me right now.
From this horizon there is no escape, but the moment he picks up a wood and he instantly enters a different world, and if
Okay,
it
the course
a
is
wood
prepared
book,
based
he is
on
put in
the
house
IELTS
with
test. So
one of the
even though
best
what we are looking at
hotels
here
in
and
the
what we
world.
talked about mostly is C1, but it's actually the IELTS writing test. So if you have taken the test before it, you should be familiar with it. If there's anything you need to confirm, please ask me. You can turn on the microphone and stop me. If I'm showing you the slides and I do not see the message that you sent me, or you can just type in the chat box and ask me if you have any questions. Well, let me see. Probably, okay, it's sequel 4. Well, we should just begin. So what have you known about the test already? What do you note about the writing section of their test, of the C1 or the IELTS test? We have some questions here, and let's see how much you know about it. Please type in your answers if you know the answer to the questions. So we have task 1 and task 2 to the test, right? Well, because do you know how much they weight in the test? Because the highest score that you can get is 9, but we do not get like 4.5 for task 1 and 4.5 for task 2. Do you know the portion of the scores for task 1 and task 2?
Ai hỏi con trai này hả? Hả? Hay mà muốn trai?
Lớp mình có biết là tỷ trọng giữa điểm của task 1 với task 2 là bao nhiêu không nhỉ? Bởi vì thật sự ra điểm của một cái bài test writing ở đây nó sẽ là 9 điểm nhưng không phải là 2 bài cộng lại chia đôi. Yeah. So the score for task 2 is actually double the score for task 1. So if you take the C1 test, then you have 6 for task 1 as task 2, and you have 3 for task 1. So the ratio is different, and that's why the time that we spend on task 2 and task 1 is also different. So that's why I want to discuss task 2 first, because task 2 is double the score of task 1. Do you know how many words you have to write in task 2? The minimum words, the minimum number of words that you have to write. How many words? Okay, yeah. More than 250 words. So 250 words is the minimum number. Is there a maximum number? Is there a limit to how many words you should write? What's your opinion? There's no limit. Okay. There is something, is there anything called suggested limit? Like to get a good score and to manage your time well. How many words do you think you should write? Of course, it depends on the level, the score that you want to achieve. Sometimes, if you are more proficient, you can use English better. You can write faster. Then probably the number of words that you write is more than many other people. But what do you think is the recommended number that you should write? Ở đây theo đúng yêu cầu của đề thì sẽ không có giới hạn trên, nhưng mà theo lớp mình thì ở đây để quản lý tốt được thời gian và để cho nội dung của mình nó sẽ không có bị quá dài dòng, thì ở đây cái mức mà mình nên viết khoảng cỡ tối đa là bao nhiêu thì mình nên dừng lại. Yeah, I think that's a good number. 300 to 350 seems to be a good range. I would say try to write fewer than 320, because if you write any more than that, it's very likely that you don't have enough time to reread what you have written and see whether there's any mistakes that you have made. It is also very likely that you repeat what you have already written. So 320 for most people. For some, they can write up to 350 or even a little bit more than that. Right, so that's their number of words. Now, how much time should you spend on task 2? Because they give you a total of 1 hour. So how much time is the time that you have to spend on writing a task 2 essay? Uh, 40 minutes. So yeah, 40 minutes is the average number, amount of time that they give you. They suggest that you write it in 40 minutes. So try to measure the time. Sometimes it may take you a little bit longer to write task 1. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to write task 2. And it depends on the question, and it depends on how well you write the task. So do you know the criteria that we have? What are the criteria? What are the things that examiner look into? What do they want in a good writing? How many criteria are there? What are the elements of a good writing? What do examiners care? What do they think about? There is something that they take into consideration when they grade your essay. So what are the things that they would want to see in a good essay?
Ủa? Có cái dự định họ lấy
Nếu mình có thể trả lời mở mic cũng được ha, hoặc là viết nếu có thể. Vậy thì mình sẽ có bao nhiêu tiêu chí để chấm điểm, và những tiêu chí đó là gì?
còn vân tay thì sao, có lấy vân tay không?
Well, you don't have to write all the criteria if you don't know all of them. If you know one or two, you can write them down. If you can think of any criteria, just let me know. Thank you. I see an answer. So here we have task response, right? Lexical resource, accuracy, and grammar. But what do you mean by accuracy? Because we have here task response is a noun, right? A lexical resource is a noun. Accuracy is actually, well, it refers to the quality, but the quality of what? In grammar. So I would say here we have task response, lexical resource, and grammar. There are 4 criteria. What's the other one?
Coherent and cohesion.
Yeah, thank you. So that thing is called coherence and cohesion. So we have task achievement or task response, whatever you call it, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. So lexical may sound strange, but it's just referring to vocabulary, how well you use words, word choice, how accurate, and the range as well. What is the range of vocabulary that you can use, and how accurate? So we have 4 criteria. Let's look at each of them. We have task achievement, task response, how well you answer the questions, right? So just have a rough look. First, we would only know how well we write until we actually put the pen down, write something, and check it. So just have a rough idea so that when you write, you know what to consider. So we have here, you be able to answer all parts of the question, not just half of the question, not a quarter of it. You know how many parts you need to answer to, and you answer all of them. You answer to all of them. You've written a clear conclusion and summarizes the main ideas. Sometimes you cannot get a high score if you cannot write a conclusion. So make sure it's a complete essay with all of the components, including a conclusion. Sometimes you are asked for your opinion, and you should be able to present that if you ask. If they don't ask you to write an opinion, then it's okay. But if they do, you have to make it clear. There's a format that you should follow because it's academic. So there's always some rules that you need to follow, and you need to follow the format of an academic essay. You need to make your ideas relevant, extend it, make it long, explain, and support it. And in those supporting ideas, you need to give examples. And your examples, your supporting ideas are developed and relevant. If it's irrelevant, of course, it doesn't make sense. If you don't explain it, then other people, the reader, the examiner, won't be able to understand. So here are things that you should check after you have written an essay. Make sure that you have met all of these. So this is the checklist for you. And that's for the first criteria, task achievement. For the second one, you have cohesion and coherence, right? It might be, the concepts that some people have known already, some people haven't, but it's about a unity of the ideas. All of the ideas that you write in your essay must be relevant to the topic, to the question, and you need to link to organize your ideas well. So we have here, you organize your idea. There's a progression or like the development of idea. It's not just you write down something, you have to explain it and it's built up so that people can follow your thought, your thinking. Because the way that I think and the way that you think are different. So I won't be able to understand what you mean if you don't explain it. You just write a sentence and don't explain it, then I won't be able to get it. So make sure that you write, but you also stand on the viewpoint of the reader, not just the writer, but the reader. We need to care about readership, who the reader is, and how to help the reader understand what we're writing better. So that is what we need to do. I've appropriately divided my essay into paragraphs. So I'm pretty sure you know what paragraphs means, right? So you need to make to write several paragraphs, not just one. And each paragraph only focuses on one topic. So you need to have a central topic for each paragraph. You need linking devices, but here's the thing. There are two ends, two limits to using linking devices. It's possible that you use too few linking devices. You only use a few and it's not enough for people to understand. So that is bad. But on the other end, we also have using too many. If you try to use linking devices in every sentence, then it will be overuse of linking devices, and that's a problem as well. So try to have a balance of the ideal number of linking devices that you use. And the last one here is I use referencing and substitution. So here is written pronouns, synonyms. Do you have you ever seen that concept of referencing and substitution? Because probably it's something some people have known already, but some haven't seen before. So I want to confirm that one first. It's very important. Well, probably tomorrow we will have some exercises about referencing and substitution. But now, just make sure that you know what I'm saying. Do you know what referencing and substitution is? Lớp mình có bao giờ học qua cái khái niệm này chưa? Reference and substitution. Yeah. What's it like? What is the purpose of using referencing and substitution? Tại sao mình phải có cái referencing và substitution ở trong bài của mình?
Just a way for people to avoid repetition.
Yeah. That's the point. Yeah, to avoid repetition, so that you won't repeat something again and again. It's boring for the reader. It saves the number of words that you write as well. So we have referencing and substitution. Okay, so cohesion, coherence. Vocabulary and grammar, they are generally the same. Well, there are two things you need to care about. First, accuracy, how accurate. And secondly, you need to think about the range. So whether you can use a range of vocabulary. But the first thing that you will see here is I only use words I know, which means accuracy is actually more important than range. So if you write something and you are not sure if it's accurate, then please choose the one that you know. Don't try to use words that you think is advanced, you think that is C1 word, or you think that is fancy word, but you are not sure how to use it. Then choose the one that you know. Because sometimes the words or the phrases that people think are advanced are actually not that complicated. Yeah, put in the right context. But of course, if it is studying, we are learning how to write, and you have dictionaries, you have resources that you can check, then you can risk a bit. You can try to see if the new word that you have just learned can be used in that context, and it's okay. It's learning, is trying to put the passive vocabulary, the word that you have seen, into practice to become active vocabulary. Those words that you can use. So use them when you're learning, but don't be risky when you take the test. And one more point is the range. So we mentioned that already. But the last one is I've checked spellings and word forms. Always make sure that you have some time at the end of the test to check the vocabulary and grammar as well, because you may know them. You just accidentally type in something incorrectly, and accuracy is important. So make sure you have time to check and correct all the mistakes that you can find. It is skilled as well. Practice the skill of checking the mistakes, because what we write is what we unconsciously think of in our mind. And we may think that our sentence is accurate because in our brain it is put in the right way. But what we have written down is actually not what we planned. But we cannot see it because we think that we wrote the correct sentence. So be very cautious, be very careful when you read the sentences. You can write a sentence, read it back, make sure the sentence is correct before you move on to the next sentence. And by the end of a paragraph, you read the whole paragraph again. And by the end of the essay, you read the whole thing again to make sure that there's nothing that you left out. There's not any mistakes that you missed. That is very important. So yeah, the last one, grammar. We have simple and complex sentences. Sometimes people try too hard to use complex sentences and write all long sentences, but it is not a very good rhythm for an essay, because if you only write long sentences, then it's very tiring for the reader, and it's also harder to understand. So have a good combination of simple and complex sentences. Don't try to write all complex sentences. And again, checking, proofread the grammar and the mistakes, and also punctuation. Punctuation is very important. Many people forget to put a full stop, a period at the end of the sentence, and that is considered a mistake. So make sure that you think about that. And one more point for the grammar here is that there are something called systematic mistakes. So if you make a mistake, the same type of mistake again and again, that is more serious than making different kinds of mistakes throughout the essay. Because, for example, if you forget to put an S at the end of verbs that we use in for singular pronouns or singular subjects, then it means that you are not aware of that. There's something wrong with your grammar. So your score will be deducted more than if you make different kinds of mistakes. If you make one mistakes of a sentence verb, subject verb agreement, one for relative clause, then that is actually more acceptable because you were not careful and you make different kinds of mistake. But if you make one kind of mistake again and again, then that's a problem. Okay. So if you have any question, let me know. Okay. Well, we'll have more information when you actually write, and I will help you correct the things. We only have 5 classes, and 5 classes are actually not enough to cover everything about the test, but I will try to mention everything. If there's anything else I didn't mention and you want to know, make sure you ask me. So this is a question that you might be asked in the task 2 essay. So you, so that I won't be speaking all by myself. Can anyone help me read the question? Sure. Yeah, can you help me please, Fu?
Yeah. In recent years, television has contributed most to challenging the quality of life of ordinary people. To what extent do you agree or disagree?
Okay, thank you. We also have the part up here and the part down there, right? But it is the same for all questions. You should spend about 40 minutes for the time we mentioned that. Give reasons for your answer, include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience, and write at least 250 words. Those are the same things that they write for every question. But we also have the bold-faced question here. Usually there are 2 parts. One is statements. Depending on the kind of question, you may have 1 or 2 statements. Here we have 1 statement, right, about television. And then we have the specific task or question, or the question type that they ask you to do, the requirement. So these are the things that will change. Well, even though the last thing, the purple item here, is repeated, it is actually very important for you to remember. We have here, give reason for your answer, first part. The second part is to include any relevant examples. So make sure in every essay, you give reason, you explain why you give such an answer, and also example. Example is what people usually forget. You always make examples, and you don't just, well, you need more than 1 example, because you write more than 1 ideas usually. They won't just ask you to give 1 reason. They ask you to give 2 reasons, for example. Or if the type of question is different, then there might be more parts that they ask you to answer. So you need to give examples for all parts of question that I ask you to. So I want to emphasize that. Make sure that you write example. Now, what are the steps that you usually apply to writing an essay? How do you write your essay? What's the first thing that you do? We have the question. We read the question. What else?
Brainstorming ideas.
Brainstorming ideas. Think of what you can write, right? Analyzing the question. And what else? What do you think? Yeah, Jane, can you, what do you think? Hey, did you turn on the microphone? We have brainstorming the idea. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think? What are the next steps if you say brainstorming? Anyone? Well, because you can just turn on your mic to answer. I don't think there will be any conflict. Anyone? brainstorming ideas is just to think what you can use to answer the questions. But with the ideas, you may come up with one idea. You may come up with 10 ideas. What do you do with the ideas that you have?
And then you need to ask yourself the direction that you could go to write. For example, you fully agree with this statement or not, or you fully disagree with this statement or not also, or how much do you agree with this statement and how much do you disagree with this statement, so that you could decide if you are totally, partly, or just some parts on the extent like to the statement. So that's what I mean. And then you need to focus on your thesis statement. I mean, when you write, you need to focus on your direction at the very beginning when you decide. And for the introduction part, most of the candidates need to paraphrase the topic and give a thesis statement. And for the body, for body one, they need to state a very clear topic sentence first, so that they could find out two supporting sentence, 2 or 3 supporting sentence, adding together with that, most candidates should offer facts, examples to prove that their opinion are concise and persuasive to the reader. And the candidate should write the second paragraph like the first paragraph to have strong argument to the reader. And for the conclusion, the candidate need to restate the ideas that they state in the introduction. Whatever you do, you should keep consistent and try to get hooked toward readers' attention in the introduction part. That's what I mean, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the structure that you have for writing and for your essay. So, well, after brainstorming, there are ideas, right? So your classmate chose the direction that he should follow in writing, right? So what I mean here is that when you have ideas, you should select the ideas. What will be used for? What will not be useful, and choose the one that is easiest for you to write. Choose the one that you can explain. Choose the one that can be connected together to form an essay. And also, because your friend briefly mentioned the body paragraph as well, right? We need supporting ideas, supporting sentences. We need examples. So what I recommend is that when you plan an essay and you brainstorm the ideas, also try to think how well you can develop your ideas from the beginning. Don't wait until you already put your pen down and write and you cannot think of what to explain, or you cannot think of an example. Make sure that you already have the example and the supporting ideas in mind before you write, so that when you write, you can just think about the language and how to express your idea best, rather than thinking about the ideas that you have to explain. So choose the one that you can explain, and usually you choose 2 main ideas that you can explain, right? So make sure that you analyze the question. You know the task type, because for each type of task, we have different structures. We have different kinds of answers that we should give. And think about how many parts are there in the questions. Sometimes there are 2, sometimes there are 4. And you need to make sure you answer to all the parts. And it also decide how you form your paragraphs. Usually we write 2 body paragraphs. The other ones are introduction and conclusion. I think you've already known. Sometimes you write 5, but most of the time, 4 paragraphs are enough. And you need to think how you should put your ideas into the paragraphs. And do I need to include my opinion? This one is very important, because if they ask you for your opinion, you need to state it clearly. If they don't ask you and you give your opinion, then it's not a good answer, because you are doing something they didn't ask you to, and you cannot give a subjective answer, well, an objective answer. You're being subjective when they require an objective answer. So think about whether you need to include your opinion in your essay. So the outline is, like your friend mentioned, introduction, body, and conclusion. We will mention all of these parts later in detail, but you can see that briefly here in the introduction, we have the question, the main idea, and your opinion if you ask. Your body, the body paragraphs, you need at least 2. So you need topic, sentence, explanations, and example in 1 paragraph. And in conclusion, summarize the idea and give your opinion. Restate your opinion, actually, because you should have already mentioned your opinion. So just restate your opinion. For the task types, so that we can have the structure for each, you will see that we have here 5 types. One is cause, effect, or problem solution. There are 3 things, actually. The cause, the reason for the problem, the effects, the actual problems that is going on, and the solutions. So they may combine different elements. Usually they ask you for 2. So it can be cause, effect, it can be problem, solution. The second type is both views. The third type is positive, negative, or you also see advantages, disadvantages, depending on the word choice that they use for the question. Number 4, the task 4, by the 4th type, we have agree, disagree, or opinion. And the last one is the kind of combination. So it's a mix of other questions, and they use 2 questions. So it's called 2-part question. 2 questions in an essay that they ask you to write. So there are 5 types like this. Make sure you remember these. And after this, I will show you some questions. Please look at the questions and tell me, what do you think the task type is? And we will analyze how you should structure your answer, how you should answer to all parts of that question. All right? This is the first question. Please read the question and tell me, what do you think the task type is? And then after that, we can discuss what are the parts that we should answer to.
Advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons.
Yeah, pros and cons. Yeah, what are the pros and cons? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this problem? So in some countries, young people are encouraged to work or travel for a year between finishing high school and starting university. So gap year. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages for young people who decide to do this. Well, how many parts are there to the question? And what are those parts? How you should form your ideas, how you should organize your idea. What do you think?
Advantages and disadvantages. 2.
2, right?
Yeah.
So the first one is advantages, the second one is disadvantages. The next question, how many advantages do you have to write and how many disadvantages do you have to write? 2 for each one. Okay, that's
So I
yeah.
think it depends on the standing point of the writer.
Okay.
Um, I mean, what I mean is that when you have more advantages in comparison with disadvantages, you could write more for prose, and then because this essay will ask you to discuss, so you can um, use your own ideas.
Mm,
So I think it depends on the writer. So what you want to write, what you want the reader to read. So you will be the one who decide the contents for yourself.
okay.
And for disadvantages, maybe you can write one. Um, you acknowledge, and then you could refute to have a strong argument, as I mentioned before. So, I think it depends on the writer.
Because you mentioned that, I want to ask, do you think you need to write your opinion for this question? Do you think you need to include your opinion for this question?
I think no,
Yeah,
because
they
the
do not
question
ask you,
didn't
right?
mention that. Because the question didn't mention like, what do you think, or do you think the advantages will outweigh disadvantages?
Yeah, they do not ask you to give your opinion. So when they do not ask you for your opinion, you need to stand on a balanced viewpoint. So actually, the number of ideas that you should give for advantages and disadvantages should be the same. Otherwise, it feel like you feel like there are more advantages than disadvantages. That's the problem. So the number of ideas that you should give for each is the same. And there's one more thing we should pay attention to here. We have blue rule for advantages and disadvantages. Depending on the way that they put the question, we may need to give just one advantage or one disadvantage. If you are asked to discuss, well, how positive, how negative it is, there's nothing relating to singular or plural, then you can just mention one and explain it and give example, and that's enough because they do not ask you to give more than one. But here, because we have plural, so we actually need to mention more than one. But if we give too many, we don't have enough first time, and second, we don't have enough explanation for it for all of them. So make sure that we still explain the ideas, but we mention more than one. So the ideal one is 2 for each. 2 advantages, 2 disadvantages. Make sure you explain all 4. So now we have 4, right? 2 advantages, 2 disadvantages, the 4 in total. And you need to explain them all. But you don't have to give examples for all 4. You can just give examples for 1 advantage and 1 disadvantage. So 2 examples for explanation. Or I just say explanation, I don't mean sentences. You can use 1 or 2 or 3 explaining sentences depending on how you form your ideas. But pay attention to the question and make sure that you read the question carefully to analyze how many parts you have to write. So this one is advantages, disadvantages. If you have any question, let me know. Okay. You will see that this question is very similar to the one that you saw earlier. There's just one difference. What's that? What's the difference compared to the previous question?
You should add your opinion.
You should have an opinion. How do you state your opinion? How do you state your opinion in the essay? We still have there, because they still ask you for both advantages and disadvantages. So you have to mention both. So where should your opinion be? Where do you write your opinion? Sure, we need to, in the conclusion, we need to summarize everything. So the opinion should be written in the conclusion. But does it mean that we only write our opinion in the conclusion? Should we mention it earlier?
So to make ways of thinking, I will put my opinion in the second paragraph in the body part. For the body one, I will write if I think that this topic has have more advantages compared to its disadvantages.
Okay, so
And instead of that, I will write disadvantages in the first paragraph of the body, and then for the second, for the body two, I just write a few disadvantages, and then I will state my own opinion.
pardon me, do you mention, well, I mean, so we have two body paragraph, right? So we have the intro, we have body one, body two, and we have conclusion. We have our opinion here for sure. You mentioned that you will say, for example, here are the advantages, and you think there are more advantages. You will mention your opinion here, right? And there are disadvantages, and you will refute, you will say why you disagree. You don't think that there are as many disadvantages. Is that the right structure that you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, when we think about introduction and conclusion, introduction and conclusion alone should be able to answer the question, because it gives the reader a clear layout, make everything clear from the beginning. I know that when you write essays or when you write other pieces of writing in daily life for other purposes, you might want people to be surprised, or you might want people to read something and then make a conclusion, and at the end they will understand what you mean by that. But because this is a limited time test, so everything should be clear. And to make it clear, the opinion should be mentioned in both the introduction and conclusion. So it should be clear. And even in the body paragraph, actually. So if you think that you agree that these are great advantages, then you should write, yeah, so you think those are great. The disadvantages, you don't really like them, you should write you don't like them. But here's the structure I will propose, because writing is your own opinion, is your own thinking and your way of expressing the idea. So there's no one single answer to the question. So I just propose the structure here. What I recommend is that if there's something you don't like as much, you think that there are more advantages than disadvantages, I will actually recommend you to write the disadvantages first. And then at the end of the disadvantages, you mention that, but here are some problem with that. And you don't like it that much. You don't like it that much. So that you can link it to the second body paragraph and say there are actually more advantages because of some reason, A and B, and you can mention that. So first you refer to link it to the second body paragraph. That's to link the paragraphs together. So that's why I recommend writing the things that you disagree to in the first paragraph, and the second one in the second paragraph, to help you link the ideas better. Do you get what I mean? And that will require writing counter argument. I hope that you've heard of that counter argument. But if you cannot write counter argument, you can just write a separate paragraph, for example, for your opinion. That's okay. Or you can just include the opinion in the introduction and in the conclusion. So it depends. For the next question we have here, quite similar, but the way the words are put is a little bit different. And the question, the boldface one, is different. So what do you think is the type of question? Yeah, agree or disagree, and or we can also call it the kind of opinion question. So it can be agree, disagree. It can be to what extent do you agree? The question is usually like that, or do you agree or disagree to the stated problem here? The problem here is some people think students go straight from secondary school to university, obtain less benefit and contribute less than those who work for a gap year, for a year between, so that they can have some more experience. Here you will see that we have here secondary school. I want to make sure that everyone understand because there are some differences between the terms that people use in different countries. So do you understand what it means by secondary school here? What does secondary school mean in this context? Secondary school trong câu hỏi của mình là cấp mấy vậy? Là khối lớp mấy hay là độ tuổi nào?
Cấp trung học cơ sở, Miss.
Well, you may hear secondary school and high school, right? So some countries may separate the two concepts. Some may have used a junior school. Some may use secondary school for the combination of both. Vậy cho nên là secondary school thì thật ra có thể là vừa từ cấp 2 đến cấp 3, tùy vào nước. Có một số nước người ta hay là bản thân từng nước cũng sẽ có thể chia nhỏ ra. Ví dụ như the United States of America, we have so many states and each state has its own regulations and division. So secondary school can also refer to high school. In this context, it refers to high school. That's why after secondary school is university. All right. So just to make sure that everyone understands their concepts. Now we should go back to the question. To what extent do you agree or disagree? First, you will see that to what extent is underlined. What is the difference between do you agree or disagree and to what extent do you agree or disagree? What do you think? Oh, there should be a question mark there actually. So what do you think is the difference between agree or disagree and to what extent do you agree or disagree? Or there's no difference? What do you think? Partly agree? To what extent can be partly agree? Is that what you mean?
Yes, because this question is used to ask the candidate how much they agree or disagree with this statement. So the answer can be partly agree or totally agree
Okay.
or just have like something like that, or it depends on the percent. I mean, how many percentage that they could agree with this statement.
Okay, So we have two extremes, right? We have agree, we have disagree. So it can be totally agree, totally disagree, or you can have something in between. You partly agree. You agree to half of the question, to some parts of the question, and you disagree to some parts of the question. But the difference here is that, like your friend mentioned, if they ask you to what extent, they're also asking how much. If they just ask you, do you agree or disagree, you can just say, oh, I agree, I disagree. But if they ask you to what extent, you have to have that word totally, strongly, entirely, or partly. So actually, you should always write, I totally agree, I completely agree, or I partly agree, so that you can always answer to all parts of the question. So there are some words you can use, like I mentioned, totally, entirely, completely, and some more if you can think of. And they're partly agree or partially agree with their statement as well. But make sure that you state the extent if they ask you to write what extent. If you don't have that strongly or partly, it means that you miss some part of the question. So make sure you do that. Now, we mentioned different kinds of answer you can give to this question, right? If you strongly agree or strongly disagree, what do you write in the body paragraph? What are the main ideas that you have? Let's say, I strongly agree. If you say you strongly agree, then what do you write in the body paragraphs? What are the main ideas? Mình thử phân tích từng cách trả lời một ha. Nếu như mình trả lời là I totally, fully, entirely, completely agree hoặc là disagree. Vậy thì ít nhất mình cần 2 đoạn thân bài, mình cần 2 nội dung chính, 2 cái main ideas. 2 cái main ideas của mình sẽ là gì?
Dạ Miss, thường đối với cái bài này thì em sẽ làm như sau. Trước hết là em sẽ nói về, ví dụ như em từ đầu em chọn là em đồng ý, nhưng mà đồng ý mạnh hơn xíu á, thì em sẽ viết về đoạn đầu tiên, đoạn mở bài và đoạn kết bài thì em không đề cập, em đề cập thẳng cái đoạn body luôn. Đoạn body đầu tiên á, thì em sẽ viết là ví dụ như là em đồng ý nhiều thì em sẽ viết về cái đoạn đầu tiên trước, tại vì cái nào em đồng ý nhiều hoặc là như nào thì em sẽ viết trước, rồi sau đó là tới cái phần mà em không đồng ý đi thì em không nói em nói, mà em nói là người ta nói, xong rồi em công nhận cái ý kiến đấy, xong rồi em review nó, xong rồi em đưa ra hướng giải quyết, xong rồi em đi đến kết bài. Đó là cách làm của em ạ.
Là đoạn thứ hai là một đoạn counter argument, đúng không ạ?
Yes.
Okay, so that is actually okay, so if you agree, I get what you mean. Okay, so one paragraph is your reason for agreeing, and then the second paragraph is to refute those who disagree. Yeah, that is also a good way to write it. But it depends on how skillful you put your idea. Some people can write very well. Then you can write a good counter argument. It's okay, it's a good way to write your essay and also to show that you have considered what other people think about the question. But some people may try to use that essay, that structure, but you are not very strong in putting a counter argument. Then I wouldn't recommend doing that because it may not be clear. Because we need one clear single idea for a paragraph. So think about how well you can write. If you can write everything pretty well, then you can follow that structure. Write a reason why you agree. Say why people disagree, but you think that people are wrong because of what reason. Give example. And if you are not quite sure how to write that, then you can just write 2 reasons why you agree or 2 reasons why you disagree. My experience is actually, if you write totally agree or totally disagree, it's easier for you to write. And you can get up to 8, a band score of 8 if you write it well. If you want something higher than 8, then you can try to write a counter argument. But if you don't write a counter argument, you can still get an 8. So it depends on your target. The most important thing is to make everything clear. Yeah. So think about that. Think about what your target is, how you want to put it. And of course, we have here partly agree. Partly agree means you agree to some part. So you explain it in one, and the other part in the other paragraph. But I also don't recommend writing this if you cannot make it clear. Think about the reader, whether the reader can understand you. If the readers cannot, or there's something you are afraid, then go for the extreme. Well, if you have any question, let me know. Now, this one, what's it? Well, it's pretty clear actually, both views, right? Because we have the question to both views. So how many parts are there in the question, and how can you answer the question? Loại này là loại thứ 3 hả? Lúc nãy mình có một loại là advantages, disadvantages. Loại đó nó có thể là có opinion hoặc là không opinion. Agree, disagree thì thật ra là luôn luôn là có opinion rồi. Bản thân câu hỏi nó đã là opinion của mình rồi. Thì bây giờ tới dạng thứ 3 mình sẽ có đây là both views. Vậy thì both views ở đây mình sẽ có những dạng gì? Những phần nào mình cần trả lời? Ví dụ như câu hỏi này, why some think high school graduates should probably take a year off to go traveling or work for a period of time before going to university. Others believe it's better for them to begin university right after high school. So what are the parts that you should answer to? What are the 2 views? Can you identify the 2 views? And do you need to include your opinion for this question? So those are the 2 questions. Can you identify 2 views, both views, the first view, the second view? And do you think you should include your opinion? Anyone? Okay, so we have here ideas supporting view 1, view 2, and your opinion. So you think we should include our opinion here?
No, we don't need to state our opinions in this question. I think we just analyze the question and state whatever you have, what's the experience. I mean, we should write the facts, the truth, the situation relevant to the question. And view 1 is statement number 1, like some thing high school, blah, 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 to before going to university, and the rest will be view number 2.
Okay. Thank you. So we have 2 clauses here, right? The first clause is 1 view. The second clause is 1 view. And we don't need to explain our opinion. We need to have a balanced viewpoint here. We need to explain to both and be objective. So we need to make sure that we do not use words that show our opinion in this essay, because they do not ask us to. Say why people think the first view is correct, why some people think that the second view is correct. It shouldn't have anything to do with us, the writer. If they ask you to write your opinion, the question should be like this: give your opinion, discuss both views, and give your opinion. Or discuss both views. Which viewpoint do you agree with? Which one do you support? They will ask for your opinion if you need to. And if they ask you to give your opinion, then it's when you need to include your opinion. If they don't ask you, then of course we have introduction. We have the first body paragraph is the first view. The second body paragraph is the second view, and then the conclusion, right? But now we have our opinion. If we have opinion, where should our opinion be? The idea is actually the same. The foundation for all kinds of tasks is the same. So how do you state your opinion? Again, it might be boring if I repeat things too much, but I just want to make sure that you can follow the structure. And you probably should write the standard outline for each kind of task down. I don't put an outline here, but I think you should write down the structure that you should write for the 5 kinds of essays, and the one with or without opinion, so that you can refer to later on. Okay, so where do you give your opinion? So let me draw something roughly here. We have intro, we have body 1, we have body 2, we have conclusion. Where is the opinion? Body 1 is view 1. Body 2 is view 2. What's the kind of opinion that they call for here?
So I think opinions should be kept during the whole essay.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Because we have to keep the essay consistent.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we need to state our opinion during
Càng nó tắm như vậy.
the entire essay.
Sure. Yeah, we need that at the beginning, at the end, but also here. If you think that the first view is what you agree to, say, okay, so for those reasons, I think it's great, it's a great view, say your opinion. And say, because, even though there are reasons that people give like this, I don't think this is a good view. So you still need your opinion in all of the paragraphs that you have. If it's too much for you, you can write in the introduction and conclusion. But I'm recommending the best way to make everything cohesion or cohesive and coherent. So, try to write well. And later on, if we have time and if I can correct your outlines or your essays, probably I can give you some recommendation on whether that is the structure you should follow, because again, there are different levels of writing, and if you are at a simple level, if you are at the easier level, then probably choosing an easier structure is better for you. If you are at an advanced level and you want something high, then you can follow a structure that gives you the best scores. Now, next question. The kind of question is, okay. So what is the kind of question that we have here?
Rửa chưa? Rửa tay.
Two-part question, cause and solution.
Yeah, if you say two part, it sounds right. But because we have separate parts for cause and problems. So here we have the reasons, right? So first is reason, and then we have solve. So this one is solution. Problem, solution, sometimes they ask you for their effect as well. So look at the singular plurals again. How many reasons you should give, and how many solutions you should give.
More than two. Two or more than two.
Two or ideally two. Yeah, ideally two. Two might be too much. Anyway, so divide into two paragraphs for each question. Two reason, two solution. Okay. There are different kinds of structure you can write actually. You can write solutions, two solutions in one, well, I would just mention body paragraph. So we have two reasons, right? And in the second body paragraph, we have two solutions. Of course, you need to explain and you need to give example for one. You don't have to give example for two, but you can give example for one. So this is the first structure that you should follow. But the thing you should remember is because they ask you for problem solution, it is best that their solution solve the problem. So think of what are the solutions that the government, individuals, companies, whatever they ask for, and whatever you can think of, help to solve the reason you mentioned earlier. That is how you can build a connection between the two body paragraphs and the ideas that you have. So because of that, you can also write their second structure. You can also write one reason or like the first reason, and then you write their solution for the first reason. So this one solves this one. And then you can write their second reason here. Oh, sorry, reason. And then the second solution. And this solution should solve this problem. So there are different structures that you can follow. You can write a chain of kind, or you can write the block one. So we can have blocks of reason, block of solution. You can have chained. So it's up to you. Now, the last type. This one, we have the last kind is the mix. Mix is basically one question of one type and one question of the other type. So we have reasons to follow what we talked about earlier. You write two reasons, right? But the second one here is not solution. The second one that we have here is negative or positive. So this one asks for advantages, disadvantages, or like your opinion. So answer to that question. This one is actually quite easy, actually, because there are two separate questions. So if you write two body paragraphs, the first question the first body paragraph answers the first question. The second body paragraph answers their second question. So just think it as simply as that. And all the rules that you should follow is just a combination of the tasks that we mentioned earlier. All right, so 5 types, but takes a lot of time. So if you have any question, let me know. Here is a notice. Think about opinion. Be objective or be subjective. And usually if they ask you, do you agree? Is it your opinion? Yes, no question. And because you answer yes or no, by saying yes or no, you are giving your opinion. So yes, no question almost always call for your opinion. Think about the question, analyze the question carefully. And from time to time, as you write your analyze and your essay, read the question, because it's very likely that you miss some parts of the question. So sometimes, or from time to time, look back at the question. So these are the 5 types of questions that we have. In summary, it's like this: 5 types of question. Think about plurals for advantages, problem, solutions. Think about to what extent for agree, disagree, and think about opinion for all kinds of questions. Any problem? if you don't have any question, then I think we can talk about introduction. Introduction here, because your friend mentioned the introduction earlier. So we have here the hook, right, the background hook. Rephrase the question and thesis. Rephrase the question is basically mentioning the question again, restating, paraphrasing the question, and answer directly to the question. But I want to talk about the hook or the background there. Is it really necessary to write a hook? What do you think about the importance of writing a hook or a statement before you officially begin to rewrite the question and write your opinion or answer the questions? Should we write a hook? Everyone? Yes or no? Hook is what you write to catch people's attention. Something that you write like about nowadays the society is whatever, or the trend or something, or you write a story, or you write a quotation, a question. So that is called the hook, to catch, to draw people's attention. So do you think that the hook is important in writing the introduction?
So I think the hook is not extremely important to the essay, but how you use the hook to get readers' attention, that's the point. That's the point, because we have to use something relevant to the topic. So as my experience, most of the students, they usually get off the topic at the very beginning when they make some question, because they have to answer the question, but they try to create some more question to make the writing become more complicated for the reader to understand. At the very beginning, it's some kind of risky.
It is risky to write a hook, yeah. Okay, the point is, we have the kind of essay or the kind of writing that we usually write for a presentation, for example, for your if you participate in a class and you have to write an essay, then it's very good to have a hook, actually, because people can have some kind of impression with your essay. But for this kind of essay, when you have 40 minutes to write one essay, and you are graded based on grammar, vocabulary, coherence, it's actually better not to write a hook. The first reason is that many people write a hook, but they do not write it well. So they do not follow the academic structure. They do not write it in academic format. So the wrong kind of format, the wrong style. And some people write something that digress from the topic. So it's go beyond the topic. That is not good. And the most common problem is people write it with wrong grammar or wrong vocabulary, word choice. And because of that, you make more mistakes in the essay. The more you write, the more mistakes you make. So the shorter you write, the fewer mistakes you make. So if we don't write the background at all, there is not any harm, actually, because they do not grade you based on that. So I strongly recommend writing or thinking of a hook when you give a presentation, but don't write a hook when you write an essay for IELTS or for a test like this, so that you make fewer mistakes. Just go directly to the question and then the thesis. Oh yeah, sure. But what do you have any opinion? Is there any question, or is just you just accidentally click on the raising hand? Well, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, do you have any question? Yeah. Focus on the band descriptor. Yes. If you can understand the band descriptor, please follow that one. Right? So I have here some structures that you can use or not. Writing is your own version, is your own expression. So please use the sentence, the ideas, the kind of words that you most comfortable with. Oh, the thesis, I will explain it here. So we have introducing the topic. Here is rephrasing the statement, actually, because when they have a statement and we need to paraphrase that, sometimes we have two phrases, we have two clauses. Here are some structure that you can use. You can note it down, or you can print screen these. So this is for paraphrasing. Oh, sorry. Write the hook. Hook ở đây nói lại một lần tiếng Việt cho rõ đi ha mọi người ha. Bởi vì mình có introduction ở đây nó sẽ có, thường người ta hay đề cập đến sẽ có 3 phần. Phần thứ nhất đó là cái hook, hay là ở đây để cho background để cho mọi người dễ hiểu. Thật ra nó sẽ là một cái câu dẫn dắt vào bài, và đặc biệt là theo cái phong cách viết của mình. Nếu như mình viết một bài luận văn hay là gì đó, thường mình sẽ có một cái câu dẫn dắt vào bài, hoặc là một cái câu hỏi, hoặc là một cái câu chuyện gì đó để cho mọi người có hứng thú hơn với cái bài của mình, để mọi người đỡ buồn chán. Thì thật sự ra mục đích của cái đó là tốt, nhưng mà với một cái bài viết như thế này, vì mình bị giới hạn thời gian, mình bị chấm ngữ pháp, thì mình viết dài, thật ra mình viết càng dễ sai. Vậy cho nên là nó không cần thiết, người ta sẽ không chấm điểm nó, thì tốt nhất là mình không viết. Ở đây vậy thì sẽ còn lại 2 bộ phận ở đây. Một cái là rephrase the question, tức là mình paraphrase lại câu hỏi. Và cái thứ hai là thesis. Thesis ở đây thật ra dễ hiểu, đơn giản nhất đó là cái trả lời của mình cho cái câu hỏi. Bởi vì lúc nãy mình phân tích là trong cái đề nó có 3 phần. Một phần là statement, phần thứ hai là cái dạng đề mà người ta hỏi là cái gì, và thứ ba là cái yêu cầu của đề, thì là cái được lặp lại cho mỗi đề, phân tích đề và phân tích và đưa ra lập luận, đưa ra ví dụ. Thì cái phần thứ ba là phần lặp lại rồi, thì mình sẽ không nói đến cái đó. Mình sẽ còn lại 2 cái phần kia. 2 cái này ở đây sẽ là trả lời cho 2 phần kia. Phần thứ nhất là mình diễn đạt lại cái statement, và phần thứ hai là mình trả lời trực tiếp cho cái câu hỏi. Thì cái thesis ở đây sẽ là trả lời trực tiếp cho câu hỏi. Paraphrase câu hỏi thì là một cái kỹ năng mình luyện trong tất cả các cái English skills, nghe nói đọc viết. Thật ra mình đều cần cái paraphrase cả. Paraphrase giúp cho mình làm bài đọc, giúp cho mình làm bài nghe. Nhưng mà với bài viết thì mình cần phải diễn đạt chính xác một tí. Thì sẽ có một số cái cấu trúc như trên cái màn hình ở đây, mọi người sẽ được đọc. Chút nữa mình paste cái này vô trong cái phần nhắn tin ở đây đi ha, thì mọi người có thể xem cho dễ. Thì ở đây có thể sử dụng một số cái cấu trúc như thế này để mà paraphrase. Rồi, mình nói tới cái chuyện thesis. Well, the thesis is you answer to the question. So we have 5 kinds of question. In the thesis, you answer to these 5 kinds of question and give your opinion if you are asked to give the opinion. If you don't, you are not asked to give your opinion, then omit that one. But if you are asked, well, here we have some structures. In this essay, I will explain. But if you want to be more objective, usually this essay will explain, or this essay will argue, this essay will present the 2 advantages and the 2 disadvantages. So these are some structures you can use. There are other structures as well. You can use them if you want to. And for the opinion, we'll just say, I think, I believe. You don't really have to use some advanced word. You can just write, I think, or in my opinion. I think that's good enough. Or I believe that's good enough. If you want to write something else, you can write, but make sure you check the dictionary that you are using the correct word to paraphrase belief or think. So here are some structures for the opinion. And to have a better idea, look at some examples that I have here. First, I want to clarify that because writing essay for language tests do not test your understanding, do not test your knowledge, do not test your opinion. There is no right or wrong. You just state something, use language to present, and how well you can argue, how well you can develop an idea. That's all the examiner cares about. So the opinions that you write may not be the one that you like, but is the one that you can present. That is okay. That's absolutely something normal that people encounter. The candidates may write something that they dislike, but they can write. So just write the things that you can think of, and there's no right or wrong. So here we have an example of the introduction for the question you saw earlier, advantages, disadvantages. The first sentence, paraphrase their statement. The second question, answer the requirement. So I will give you some time to read first. Okay, so can anyone help me read their introduction, please? Anyone? How about other people? Do you want to participate in the activity? Okay, can you just help me read their introduction, please?
Yes, I'm here. The norm in some countries is to advise young people to take a gap year of working or traveling before taking a university degree. This essay will discuss the financial benefits and the experience they can gain from this, as well as the risk of wasting time and losing educational opportunities that may arise.
Thank you. So you will see that here we talk about we should write 2 advantages, 2 disadvantages, right? So you will see here 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. Well, you have your own opinion, so think about how, well, after you have outlined what you want to say, go back to the introduction and see how you can put them into the introduction. We have 2 ways to write the introduction, the simpler way and the more difficult way. This is the more difficult way, but it's the best way to summarize everything. So you already summarize the ideas that you're going to write in the body paragraph in this introduction. So that's the best way. If you cannot write something like this because you do not have enough vocabulary, because you cannot think of a shorter way to put it, or it's a waste of time and you don't have enough time to write such a long thesis, then you can just make it short and write this essay will discuss their advantages and disadvantages of the statement of the problem we mentioned here. But if you can practice writing or summarizing their ideas that you have in the body paragraph in the introduction. Okay, so you can choose. If you can, try to put it this way. That is the thesis. If you cannot, just make it simple and write the thesis like, I will write, but make sure you answer the question. I will write the advantages and disadvantages to point to the right task type. And well, similarly, this one is with opinion. So you will see that it's the same up to this point, up to this comment, which is have this extra phrase here, well, clause here, and argue why this trend should be encouraged. So the task type here is with the opinion as well. So you should say your opinion is. So this is why this should be encouraged. So the person approve it. The person think that there are more advantages. So in the introduction, state your opinion. Okay. So advantages, disadvantages, and opinion. Now for agree, disagree, paraphrase the question. The problem is, the person believes that I strongly believe that the gap year can bring about valuable practical experiences and life skills. So this person agree. The person state why the person agree. The first reason is valuable practical experiences. The second reason is life skills. So we have the outline of the body paragraph once we read the introduction. That's the best way. If you cannot say, I strongly believe, and this essay will explain, and I will explain in this essay, and then move on to the body paragraphs. If you can, summarize the two main ideas in the introduction. All right. Well, just because I don't want to move on too fast, and people don't have enough time to read, can anybody help me read the question? Read the introduction, please. Vì tốc độ đọc của mỗi người là khác nhau. Mình chuyển qua câu hỏi khác nhanh quá thì có thể có một số người lại chưa kịp đọc ví dụ, cho nên là nếu mà có ai đọc thử cái phần introduction này nha, read out loud. Yeah, please. Như ý, right? Yeah, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yeah. Taking a gap year for travel or work before a university degree is subject to debate. While some people believe each 1 year is beneficial, others underestimate its contribution to one's success compared to directly going to university. Personally, I strongly believe that a gap year can bring about valuable practical experiences and life skills.
Thank you. All right. So that is agree, disagree. Now for both view, you need to state the both view and state what people of the first view think, what the people of the second view think. So you will see that here the paraphrasing is a bit different because the question is also a bit different. Opinions differ, right? So can anyone help me read that one? Here, I đọc thử cái introduction này vậy. Có ai không ạ?
Mắc hơn nhiều không? Mắc hơn nhiều không? Sao nó như đúng rồi vậy?
Mà nghĩ karaoke không? Karaoke cả chập thằng nó đi hát karaoke làm ăn được cái gì đó. Nó ngồi cô hát rock bia xong hết.
Random. But does everyone have a microphone? Đọc đề thôi ạ. Đọc thôi, không sao cả.
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me?
Mình thấy
Can you
đọc.
hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you read the introduction?
I just want to ask if you hear me carefully or not. Opinions differ on whether students should take a gap year after high school graduation. While supporters point to practical experience in this 1 year, opponents underestimate its contribution to one's success. This easy will discuss both sides of the agreement in detail.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear it earlier. Okay, this essay will discuss both sides of the argument in detail. So there are two views point has been given earlier. Experience and okay. And now this one is with opinion. So you'll see that there will just be one more clause here. So similar, but here. This essay will discuss both sides and argue that gap years should be encouraged. So you see the opinion of the author there, of the writer there. Now, move on. We have reasons and problem solutions. So you should state what are the problems that you have. What are the solutions that you have in mind when you see the question and you have the outline already. So because I want to give you more time to practice, so I would just read it. If you have any question, just let me know, okay? So we have here the norm in some countries is to advise young people to take a gap year of working or traveling before taking a university degree. This is mainly because, so you see the reason, of the inappropriate approach to teaching at these universities, the first reason, and some people's misconceptions about education, the second reason. Of course, it may seem vague, but you have to explain the body. Families and university can join hands to tackle this issue, so that's the solution. If you can, summarize. If you cannot, just say this essay will analyze, will explain problems and solutions. The next one is two-part, the last time. The norm in some countries is to advise young people to take a gap year of working, traveling, same thing. And then we have their thesis. Many young people believe that the practical experience gained in this 1 year is beneficial and will contribute to their success, So this is the answer to the first question. The second question is answered in the next sentence. Personally, I believe that is a positive change. So answer to both questions quickly, shortly in the introduction, like this. Now, can you practice and I should describe this one first. Can you analyze the questions and try to write your own introduction? We have the questions in your book, or you can also directly read the question using the form that I sent here. So you will see that in their chat box, there is a link. If you click open the link, you will see that there are some questions. There are 5 questions in your book. Please read the question, try to analyze. You can roughly think of the outline, because we should always write the outline before you write the introduction, because you could see that the best way to write the introduction is to have the outline beforehand, to know what you want to write, so you can summarize it in the introduction. So try to quickly think of the ideas that you can use to answer the questions and write the introduction. Here we have 5 questions. You may not have enough time to write all 5, or it will take too much time. So you can answer 1 or 2 and then click submit. And I will try to reply to you as soon as possible. So please try to answer the question and click submit. If you have any question, let me know. Okay, is there any problem accessing the link? I will answer each of the response. So I will correct your reply here. But if there's some mistakes that are common, and I think the class should know, and there's something you can learn from it, then I can correct that for the whole class. If you send your individual response, and I can reply, and we'll just reply. Okay, so I'll give you some time to analyze the questions and write something to me.
Em mơ mới đi leo cũng mơ mà.
Nói
Bao giờ nhỏ bao giờ lên truyền thông là có người làm quan thôi đơn giản mà. Hồi xưa anh bố xét được làm rồi đúng rồi. Rồi hai dòng phương hai dòng phương lên nhiều rồi chó.
nhà ông nội kêu cháu hình như là cũng như ít phút rồi có cháu giờ ít phút
Ừ.
ít phút nuôi cháu rồi nuôi hết
Là nó
rất nhẫn thấy gì đó
giờ con rồi cũng không
thấy cái quả đi luôn quả tốt cũng là quả cũng đã cháu cũng là
nói gì đây
thì đó tôi mới sợ đó.
tự nhiên mình không dạy nó đủ thì giờ là do có quả không tí vậy mà
Không dạy thì nó cái con nhân sao tại sao mình không dạy nó tại sao coi chị coi là không nó thì lực của nó ai lại gia lực của nó như em bị trầm cảm cũng là quả
của cái gì
thì nó cũng như tụ
đến một xưa bị trầm cảm tí cũng còn tí đó thì sợ cái con đường của mình thì có vợ bây giờ má phẳng quá
món gì không? Cái gì đâu không quan có gì không? Tập không quan đi dạy thôi chứ không quan cái gì đâu dạy cái gì cũng không quan
cái cách là sao này sẽ dạy
dạy
không nói trước
thì anh cũng nói trước là gì vậy anh thấy chúng tôi nói trước là gì vậy để hôm nay dạy mai chết là chúng tôi dạy từ từ đi đúng rồi đi
ngồi trong bàn nhưng mà em đừng có ngồi gần anh, giống như người xa lạ vậy đó. Hả?
Nhiều quê.
Hả?
Nhiều quê.
Em á hả? Tối mà về quê gì tối em cũng lên rồi chứ.
Mai đi học hả? Nhiều quê được.
Còn đi buổi tối thứ bảy mà.
Cái gì?
Đi buổi tối mà.
Tối thứ bảy hả?
Ừ.
Ở đâu? Bộ dắt hả?
Em có chỗ nào chơi lên đó không mà lên trên em nói chơi luôn vậy đó. Hả? Gigamon gì á?
Gigamon là ở Thủ Đức mà.
Gigamon có gì không ta?
Đâu bị lỡ hả? Đâu bị lỡ hả?
Gigamon ở
Bị lỡ là Thủ Đức.
đó.
Đánh Thủ Đức. Đâu bị lỡ là nối giữa Thủ Đức với lại Bình Thạnh với lại Bình Thạnh. Ở đây ăn rớt tùm lum thịt luôn á.
Thì mình đéo mà ai đó mà cuối cùng cưới ăn là ăn cái phiền ai vậy đó ai không.
Đừng đi.
Đi nhìn thấy
Cái gì?
đi nhìn kỳ lắm vậy.
Cái gì kỳ?
Thà nó không có cơ cấu không cơ cấu công việc hiểu không.
Cái gì?
Thà nó không có cơ cấu không công việc ở Thăng Long hay là gì đó là cũng dễ. Đây nó thuộc công ty công việc luôn. Con gì mà ngồi mà chiếc thạch gọi là cái gì ta?
Thằng.
Hả?
Để tăng.
Để tăng mà. Tôi thấy có vậy và cái toán con để tăng con gì con này cái gì hồ sơ con cháu gì đó ngắn rồi này nọ gì đó gọi là gì em?
Tí à? Hay văn phòng?
Nói chung là quản lý hồ sơ này đi ngắn đâu nè. Giả sử như cái đề cương xong nha là anh chỉ để trên cái đất rồi có trách nhiệm cái điện ảnh nó đóng dấu.
Nó sửa lỗi một điều là vậy đó. Ở cái tải rồi đúng sửa. Không à?
Không đâu thời gian đâu đó.
Nowadays, when people nowadays when people have
Rồi bài ca. Vô Ken ơi.
lấy Ken đi anh.
Để anh chơi hết một chán rồi anh ra đây Ken.
Anh ơi, Ken kìa.
Rồi đi Ken.
In recent years, television has contributed most to changing the quality of life of ordinary people. To what extent do you agree and or disagree?
Xuống lấy cái tả cho lên cho ba bạn. Xuống lấy cái tả đi. Xuống lấy cái tả đưa cho ba. Lấy cái quần luôn nha. Lấy cái quần luôn. Xuống lấy cái tả đi. Xuống lấy cái tả lên cho ba. Nè, đi. Chạy. Chan, xuống lấy cái tả cho ba đi. Lấy cái tả cho ba là lên chơi đi. Có đi chơi không? Xuống lấy cái tả đi con. Đứng dậy, xuống lấy cho ba cái tả. Lấy cái tả cho ba. Đi. Đi Chan. Xuống lấy cái tả cho ba đi. Đâu mẹ xuống lại lấy cái tả nè. Xuống lấy cái tả cho ba. Xuống lấy cái tả cho ba đi. Tả. Đấy đi.
All right, I will try to continue to correct the introductions later on, and probably I won't be able to correct everyone's answer if there are too many, but I'll try my best. And if you don't receive my answer, my response, or if I answer and there's something you don't understand why I give such a comment, then make sure you can ask me tomorrow, or you can reply and ask me why, for clarification. And in the last few minutes of today's class, I want to briefly mention the conclusion. Not because I give it too little time, that is not important. The conclusion is actually very, very, very important for task achievement. But once you understand how to write an introduction, it is pretty easy to write a conclusion, because it's based on the format of the introduction. Actually, it can be a little bit more complex if you write the simpler version of the introduction. I've seen that most people write the simpler version of the introduction. But if you write a more complex version of the introduction, then the conclusion is simple. If you didn't write a complex version, you wrote a simpler version of the introduction, then try to be more specific in the conclusion. So the purpose of the conclusion is to wrap up, summarize everything that was written in the essay. You have to show the examiner that you have the ability to summarize things. So write everything in short phrases. So you may not write it in the introduction, but you have to do that in the conclusion. So summarize the main idea. And if they ask for your opinion, you need to make your opinion clear in the conclusion. So that's the purpose of the conclusion. So there are two main components of a conclusion. There's a signpost, or for short, it's a conjunction, a signal that you write in the conclusion, and a restatement summarizing what you've written. You will see that there's a notice here: please don't write any new ideas. You will see that we have the signpost, and then we have a restatement. In your restatement, it is your opinion, if you ask, to answer the type of question and quickly summarize the main point in the first body paragraph and the main point in the second body paragraph. Please don't write the explanation, the supporting ideas. You just have to write the main ideas, but make sure you write both main ideas of the first and the second body paragraph. You will see that there's a cross here, which means it's something you should never write in an IELTS essay or a C1 essay. It is the further insight. Usually, if you write an essay, you may want people to think about what you've written, to have their own reflection. It leaves a longer impression. It makes them remember your essay better, remember your writing better. But if it's an IELTS essay, the problem is that you may write something you didn't mention, and the examiner will think that you go off topic, you digress from the topic, you wrote something that you will not ask. So just summarize. Please don't write anything else. Please don't ask about the future. Write something about this. This will contribute to the future or something if it is not asked. So that's the point here. Please don't write anything else that you didn't write in the body paragraph in the introduction. So the signpost, go back to the signpost a bit. So we have some signposts that you can use and some that you shouldn't use. You cannot use because it's not appropriate for the format. And even among these, there are some that I recommend using. I think you should just use it in conclusion or to conclude. The rest, there are some that doesn't really reflect their purpose, or some that doesn't really, some that are not very formal to use. So I would recommend just you in conclusion and to conclude for your conclusion. These finally, it is you if you have first idea, second idea, and you have last idea, and that's finally, but your conclusion is not finally. So don't write finally. Don't write in a nutshell. It is very informal to use in the writing. In general, not really appropriate, and only also not formal. So just go for the simpler one. They do not give you bonus on writing something seem to be complex but doesn't serve its function. So go for the simpler one. So two main points that I want to make: use a simpler signpost and do not make new information. Do not try to write something new in the conclusion. And if you have written a good introduction, what you do is paraphrase the introduction, and that's it for the conclusion. So you can try to write it in the next time that we have the body paragraph and summarize things, and we can check how well you can write your introduction. But I think it's a good idea to see what an introduction should be like from the beginning. So after you have written an introduction, ask yourself some questions. Does it include new ideas? The answers should be no, you didn't write any new ideas. Does it answer the question? Yes. If you look at the conclusion, you should understand what the question is, what is the requirement of the question. And the last one, is the language the same as in the question or the paragraphs? No, you should paraphrase it. If you cannot paraphrase, then you can use it again. Accuracy is still more important. So you can repeat some phrases, it's okay. But do not write exactly same sentences or too long phrases that are the same. That if there are words that you don't know how to paraphrase, then you can use them again. So that's the conclusion. If you have any question, let me know. If you don't have any question, then you can leave the classroom now and have a good night. I will continue to correct some more introductions and release the answers to you. And I will still leave this classroom on for a bit longer. So if you have any questions, you can still ask me. I will just leave it here while I correct the introduction. Okay, I will check the email. Right. Okay. If you don't have any questions, then you can leave the classroom. It's okay. And thank you for attending the class, and have a good night. And if you have questions, stay. But I will for now turn off the camera and the microphone. But if you have questions, I will answer.
Mấy giờ em học xong hả?
Lâu nha.
Dạ.
Nhập mấy bữa rồi cũng nghỉ.
Không tiền lắm. Để qua trái cây không có cái gì đâu. Đủ à? Cho giặt ống như vậy nè.
Alo.
Yeah.
Dạ cô cho em có vài ý kiến nhỏ nhỏ.
Yeah.
Tại vì cô biết sao trong cái lớp của mình á là có nhiều bạn và có nhiều cái trình độ nó cũng chưa có tương đồng á, nên là nhiều khi cô cũng hỗ trợ cái phần tiếng Việt á để cho tụi em hiểu thêm một chút á.
Yeah.
Tại vì ví dụ như tụi em á cũng có nhiều người ở không có trong cái ngành tiếng Anh á, ở khác cái chuyên ngành á cô, nên là em cũng nhờ cô hỗ trợ thêm cái phần đó cho tụi em á.
Ok, dạ rồi, nếu mà vậy thì chắc là hôm sau mình có thể sử dụng tiếng Việt nhiều hơn. Với lại thực sự ra thì nếu mà trong quá trình học mà lỡ tới cái phần nào lớp mình mà không hiểu thì mình cứ hỏi lại. được không ạ? Nếu như là có cái phần nào mình không hiểu thì mình cứ raise hand hoặc là mình nhắn vô là giải thích phần nào. Lớp mình nhớ nhất phần đó vì nhiều khi cũng hơi khó, thực sự online nó hơi khó check được xem là mình tương tác với nhau có dễ hiểu hay không. Vậy cho nên là nếu như có phần nào mà lớp cảm thấy khó hiểu thì lớp cứ hỏi lại, đúng không ạ?
Vậy
Rồi
em
với
cảm
lại
ơn em.
với lại là chắc lát nữa mình sẽ gửi cái file nào đó mà lớp mình có thể tham khảo lại cái nội dung bài giảng đó, thì chút nữa lớp lên class sẽ có lại mấy cái phần câu mẫu chẳng hạn, nó sẽ có cái phần câu mẫu rồi này kia của introduction ở trên đó.
Cô ơi, cho em hỏi luôn là cái này á, mình có những cái chủ đề nào sẵn không hay là
Của phần mình đi thi hay là sao ạ?
dạ vâng cô, ý là có cái đề cương như thế nào không ấy cô?
Đề cương để thi cho cái bên xin lỗi, lớp mình là có thi bên trung tâm không ạ hay là sao ạ? Lớp mình là lớp mình là ôn bậc 5/6 để thi lấy bằng C1 đúng không ạ? Lớp mình bên mình là thi bằng C1.
Dạ cô.
Dạ vậy thì nó sẽ thi trong chuẩn là những cái topic ở trong cái sách của mình đó, tức là topic từ mấy cái practice mình có file cái practice. Vậy thì trong 5 cái bài practice test đó đều sẽ ra trong phạm vi 5 cái practice test đó. Nó có thể thay đổi một xíu nhưng mà đề tài sẽ đi trong mấy cái đó.
Dạ em cảm ơn cô ạ.
Dạ rồi, không biết.
Dạ cô cho em hỏi luôn là cái bài lúc nãy cô gửi á là ý là cái này là khi khi nào mình nộp hả cô?
Cái phần mà trong cái Google Form đó ạ.
Dạ.
Google Form thì thật ra mình cứ làm xong rồi bây giờ mình cứ gửi thôi ạ. Còn
Tại vì có một số anh chị hôm nay không có tham gia học được đó vì đi làm hay như thế nào á. Nên em hỏi em luôn ạ.
Vậy thì cứ gửi, mình cứ làm vô cái form đó rồi gửi thôi. Nhưng mà thật ra là vấn đề là nhiều khi không kịp để sửa cho cả lớp mình đó. Tại vì thời gian cũng có giới hạn đó. Cho nên là mình sẽ cố gắng sửa được cho bao nhiêu bài được thì cố gắng thôi. Nhưng mà nhiều khi nếu mà lỡ mà nhiều bài quá thì mấy bài đằng sau lại không kịp sửa.
Dạ vậy cái này thì cũng giống như là một cái bài luyện tập để có gì cô hỗ trợ sửa.
Đúng rồi, chỉ là để hỗ trợ cho mọi người là có được cái tham khảo đó là hiện tại mình có đi đúng tiêu chuẩn hay chưa, rồi mình hiểu bài hay chưa thôi, chứ không phải là có chấm điểm hay là gì đó.
Dạ rồi bạn. Dạ em cảm ơn. Vâng.
Yeah.